It was my first dream as a kid to be a writer, to write books, fantasy books with heroes and magic, wizards and dragons. I had the ideas. I don't know where they came from, but they came, hurrying into my imagination. They came during long drives across New Zealand. I remember gazing at the landscapes and being inspired and coming up with all these fantastical characters and realms. I never wondered why these ideas came. I just explored them because that's what a kid does, I guess. One particular idea was so insistent that I started to write it. It was called The Prophecy of Pilkenhorn, and it was the jewel of my imagination. I didn't stop to wonder if the idea was cliché or if my writing was any good or not. None of that mattered. I just started writing this book, started telling this story. I wrote just under 20,000 words as a 10-year-old. 10-year-old? 12-year-old. Either 10 or 12, I can't quite remember. But I wrote just under 20,000 words. I wish it was that easy. Writing. How? Where did it go? Why can't I write now as an adult? What's going on? There's something in my brain. There's these things stopping me from just exploring these story ideas that come to me. There's all these limiting beliefs. And I've been thinking a lot about how, as a kid, there was nothing holding me back from just writing. I think we can learn a lot from how, as children, we kind of just expressed ourselves. We just did things. We didn't think about them too much. We didn't have all these ideas and beliefs kind of stopping us from just exploring our creativity and exploring our kind of natural expression. And I feel that now, as I've grown older, there's been all these kind of blocks and barriers imposed on me from just expressing myself freely.
Grandmaster, I wish to learn from my younger self. What should I do?
Use the waygate, but be careful. Time travel can be dangerous.
Kid, it's me from the future. Oh, you from the future. I wanted to ask you some questions about writing. Do you have a minute?
I'm going.
It's okay. I wanted to ask, don't you get writer's block? Don't you think your ideas are cliche? Don't you think your writing is bad? Come on, kid, what are the secrets? No, you're just gonna keep jumping. Okay, no worries, you know. I went through a lot of effort to get here. All good. Good luck for the future. See ya.
I'll do my solo now.
I'm 24 years old now, and I'm finally honoring that original dream of my 10-year-old self. And if I told him that only now am I writing my first book, he would probably be like, dude, why? What took you so long? Why haven't you just written a book? Like, why haven't you just done the writing? Well, young Joshua, we make things more complicated than they ought to be. No, he would say. Tell me the story. Okay, young Joshua, I will tell you the story. It was just after my 20th birthday when the prophecy of Pilkenhorn miraculously reappeared in my mind 8 years after going into hiding in the land of the forgotten. It came back because it didn't want to stay in the realm of the forgotten. It needed to emerge, it needed to be told. It's a story. Stories need to be told. We have stories within us. This story, it didn't ever leave me. It was always in the back of my mind, in the depths of my imagination, and it found a way back. And when it came back in full storm. I became obsessed with it. It was the jewel of my imagination after all. It was my most precious, most prized story idea. And I treated it with utmost, respect. What's the word? Sometimes it's just hard to find the right word. This is literally me when I'm trying to write, trying to find the right words. It doesn't matter. Basically, it was everything to me. But I had a serious problem. I didn't write a single word. See, my ideas were outrunning my ability to produce them. The fact was that I didn't actually know how to write. I didn't know how to transmute those ideas into writing. See, ideas are only good if we are able to actually bring it outside of ourselves and make something tangible, I feel, you know? I had the ideas, but I didn't have the action. I didn't write. I couldn't write. And so when I tried to write the prophecy of Pilkenhorn for the second time, I couldn't. I just couldn't bring myself to sacrifice my precious idea to the fiery pits of awful writing. It was a stalemate. But then, the one chosen... wait, what is it? Yeah, I got it written down. It's good. And then, the chosen one prophesied to inspire millions of fantasy writers in the world returned. Well, he didn't return, but I just discovered him. Brandon Sanderson. This guy, oh man. Brandon Sanderson changed everything for me. I started delving into YouTube, where there is an abundance of Brandon Sanderson interviews, lectures, podcasts, everything. His impact on me was so profound that I hadn't even read any of his books yet, but he was already my favorite writer. Just the way that he was sharing his journey and sharing his knowledge. He wasn't withholding anything. He doesn't withhold anything from the writing community, from newbie writers like me. He shares all his wisdom and knowledge that he has learned from his journey of becoming a fantasy author. He seemed to epitomize the love of writing and fantasy that I had as a kid. See, I was fascinated by his approach to writing. I mean, he wrote something like 13 books before getting published. I mean, talk about perseverance and commitment. This guy was committed to this. He was determined, and he just kept writing books. And this just revolutionized how I was thinking about writing. I looked sheepishly at all my story ideas and just thought I've got to break through these limiting beliefs, these fears that are holding me back. I've just got to write my first book already. I was held back by the fear of cliches and by this thought that I need to conceive of a truly original story idea and the fact that my writing was bad, but these were all lies. They're not true. See, the most important thing I learned from Sanderson was to just write. It sounds simple, but sometimes the most powerful idea is the most simple. Simplest. I'm meant to be writing a book, but I'm struggling with my words here on camera, but that's okay, I'm better on page, or at least I hope I am. Yeah, I mean, I thought if I write this book, it's hardly likely to get published anyway. It's just my first book, right? Right. But I still couldn't sacrifice my story ideas. In Brandon Sanderson terms, I couldn't kill my darlings. And so, in rebellion to my fears, I started conceiving of a story idea so cliche with all of the fantasy tropes. Dragons, MacGuffins, chosen ones, elemental magic, maybe. Did I choose elemental magic? I don't know. The recipe for the most cliche story idea. And I was like, you know what, screw it. It's not about writing a great book. Well, it might be about that. It's not about writing an original story. It's about becoming a writer. Hey.
Oh, hi, Dylan.
What's this?
Oh, Josh, it's so cute. I found that in amongst some of your old things today.
I saw a weird man today when I was bouncing on trampoline. He asked me about writing. I am scared of writing now.
Kid. No!